What up, my man? I like to do these little videos instead of typing, especially when I'm going to ramble on for a little bit, and it beats reading. So anyway, so yeah, two things. One, no, acrobatic. When I'm assuming when you say acrobatic, you're talking about the DJ jumping up and down and shit. No, that has nothing to do with being creative. That's depending on how the DJ behaves himself. It could either be cool or it could be just stupid. You know what I mean? So no, what the DJ does physically, jumping up and down, the way you describe it, acrobatic. I think that's the word you use. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Okay, but you did say, do they need to do what James Hype does to be creative and technical? Well, yeah, that's exactly what being technical and creative is. Okay, you mentioned DJs like I wrote it down here, Jeff Mills, for example. Okay, now Jeff Mills is known for being a mixing wizard. Okay, mixing on multiple decks, especially during the vinyl days. Okay, now not so much. Okay, but all you have to do is just ask yourself: does Jeff Mills do, or does he do what James Hype does? Okay, the answer is no. The question: what does James Hype do? Okay, and you kind of didn't go into heavy detail, but I think you said enough to let me understand that you know what James Hype does. Okay, what he does is basically a lot of edits, remixes live on the fly. Some is on the fly, and some are already rehearsed. You know, because he comes prepared with acapellas and loops a lot, because if the opportunity presents itself, he'll use them, and other times it's already been practiced, so he knows what's coming up. He knows, he's practiced it at his house or whatever, and he could take that to the gig. But yeah, being technical and being creative is basically flipping the track, looping tracks, playing loops on top of loops and acapellas on top of those loops, extending the breaks by dropping other beats and loops and acapellas, doing tricks, as you said. That is being creative. That is being technical. Okay, Jeff Mills does not do that. Jeff Mills is known for being a mixing wizard, being able to mix 3 decks, 4 decks, 5 decks at the same time. That's not being technical. That's not being creative. Okay, that's just being a mixing wizard. And Jeff, as we all know, that's his nickname. He's known as the Wizard. Okay, you also mentioned Richie Hawtin. Now, Richie Hawtin, what he does today, I don't even consider that DJing. That guy is at another level. Okay, he was in LA. I'm coming from LA, so he was in LA, I think 2 years ago. And man, let me tell you, his setup is ridiculous. Okay, what he does now, I don't even consider that DJing. To me, that is performing, because the guy's creating music. Okay, he's creating music by, playing other people's tracks, and sometimes he has drum machines and all these other contraptions to enhance what he's already playing. That's performing. I don't consider that DJing. But you did mention a few other DJs. Hector Oates. I'm familiar with that guy. That guy's dope. He's fucking dope. But you did say Stingray and Helena. Now, I'm not familiar with them, but I checked them out. Okay? You just have to ask yourself, do they do what James Hype does? There's only a handful of people, okay, as far as DJs that we know of, that can do what James Hype does. I think nobody does it as efficiently as James Hype. But you have other DJs that are extremely creative and technical. Roger Sanchez, Juicy M, Louis Vega, Eric Murillo, R.I.P. Those DJs, very creative. Eric Murillo always has stuff going on, looping. He's always dropping acapellas in between the mixes, so he's always doing shit. Roger Sanchez is probably the one that could come somewhat close to James Hype. Okay, Roger Sanchez is another one that's always doing very, very technical stuff. Louis Vega is another one. Even during the vinyl days, he would extend intros, obviously by using multiple decks. He would have 3 turntables, and what he would do, he would extend an intro, obviously 2 records and spinning it back and, going back and forth. And on the third turntable, he would have an acapella. So he would be manually spinning the records back so he could extend the intro, that acapella's writing. So obviously that's a different skill set than today, because today you just push one button and you're already looping. And then you have 3 decks to play with. Okay? So it's a lot easier to be creative and technical today than it was back in the vinyl days, obviously. Okay? That's why you can do things like, that's why James Hype can do what he does. Even somebody like Louis Vega, during the vinyl days, they were limited because, they got 3 decks and they only have 2 arms. Okay? So, but now with the technology, with the CDJs, when everything is just boom, you push a button, or you already got that looped, you push another button, now you got 2 decks looping. You know what I mean? So that's basically what I'm talking about. Edits live, remixes live, creating grooves by looping multiple beats. When you loop one beat and loop another beat, and you put those beats together, depending on what you're looping, it could create a completely different vibe, completely different track, and you're creating a new song. Okay? James Hype may not do that exactly what I just described, because that's more of a longer process. James Hype's more really quick, loop, acapella, some trickery onto the next track, boom, 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 boom. Okay, that's something more like what Louis Vega would do, or even Roger Sanchez. But yeah, that's what I mean by being creative. What to do, or having the creative mindset to do these things. That's why I said what James Hype does is not difficult. It really isn't. It's just a lot of DJs don't have the creative mind to think like that, to do that. The grand majority of the DJs, they just play one track to the next. DJs like John Digweed, that's all he does. Plays one track to the next. What makes John Digweed special? He is a master programmer. One of the few on the planet that could program like he can. All right? Carl Cox, another one. Today, not the hybrid set. Okay, that's a completely different. But when he's on the decks, what does he do? Mix one track to the next. He might do a couple effects here and there, but no, he's not technical at all. Carl Cox is not technical at all. He's not creative at all. What makes Carl Cox, he's been doing it forever. He was there pretty much from the beginning in the UK, and the guy plays amazing music. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. And again, to the DJs that you had mentioned, I believe I got it right. Stingray and Helena, even Hector. All you have to do is just look at what they do, and do they do what James Hype does? And the answer is no. They play, at least from what I saw I saw a couple of Boiler Room videos from them. All they're doing is mixing one track to the next. That's it. Okay? That's not being creative. Okay? Good programming, sure. Good ability to select good music, absolutely. But that's not being creative. That's not being technical. So anyway, so that's what I mean. Okay? So yeah, so let me know if you agree or disagree or your thoughts on it. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. All right, peace.